Hey everybody, welcome back to Fantasy Theory. In this video, we're going to talk about X-Men 97. Now that the show has finished, I kind of wanted to give a quick review about it because I pretty much have nothing but nice things to say about it. So I thought, let's just jump into it and talk about the show as a whole. Before we start, leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of X-Men 97 if you watched it. Let me know if you're planning on watching it. And let's get into it. So to start off, the show, great. I mean, it's probably one of the best things that Marvel put out in the last few years. I mean, in terms of Disney Plus TV shows, it's up there, I think, as maybe the best one. The only one I could say that could be coming close to it is low-key, but I do have to give it to X-Men 97. As somebody who did not watch any of the original TV show, like, I don't even think I watched an episode of it, to be honest with you. I was able to just jump right in and understand everything. You know, there's definitely some things that you can appreciate if you watch the show, like certain characters coming in or certain things, like little things like that here and there, little Easter eggs and everything. For the main part, you don't really need to know the story leading up to that. Again, some things will help, and, you know, if you did watch it or you did a rewatch of it, I'm sure you noticed these things and they make your experience just so much better. But for somebody who's like a newcomer, I loved it. And it honestly, you know, as a person who's seen most of the X-Men movies, I wasn't a huge fan of the X-Men. You know, I liked them. I didn't think anything bad of them. I thought they were cool. This series made me love the X-Men. I mean, I'm looking up videos on the X-Men, comics on the X-Men, just everything on them because it is so good, this show. And the show really succeeds in making you care for each character, even if they have such a minor part, and just they all have pretty major parts. Some, you know, some are just there to kind of fill the team. This wasn't really their season. I expect them to have bigger roles going on in the seasons moving forward. But again, some characters outshined other characters. For the most part, though, every character kind of had their own spotlight. It adopted great storylines. Besides, you know, if you watch my videos, you know I was not a fan of the Matendo/Life Death Part 1 episode. I thought it was filler. Besides the Storm parts, I thought it was kind of just filler, to be honest with you. But, you know, the first three were bangers, then I think it was that fourth one, and then everything after that, Remember It, Tolerance is Extinction Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, everything was great. And, you know, I do have to say, since the series is over now, besides for the finale, because I'm a sucker for finales, to be honest with you, like how they like got it kind of come together and everything like that. Remember It, the attack on Genosha, probably my favorite episode because it's a different take. It's so dark. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but we see a sacrifice from one of the characters. The show is awesome with that episode. I mean, I thought it might have just been it would have advanced the plot a little bit, but not how that plot would advance. You know, it was really, really good. You know, we had a little love triangle with not Wolverine and Cyclops and Jean, but Cyclops, Jean, and Madeline Pryor. Madeline Pryor, kind of a new character for people who aren't really familiar with X-Men. I mean, I wasn't too familiar with this character. Pretty much a clone of Jean Grey from Mr. Sinister. And, you know, they had a little love triangle that gave a little focus on, you know, Jean Grey and Scott not being the perfect couple because they have some hiccups with, you know, everything like that, and Cable being the son of really Madeline and not Jean Grey, but, you know, at the end he kind of was. The Storm stuff I wasn't too, you know, excited about. You know, I kind of saw where it was going. You know, she lost her powers. I didn't think she would get them back maybe this season, but, you know, by the end of the season she has her powers back, so, you know, I can't really say anything about it. We do have another love triangle. That's Gambit, Rogue, and Magneto. And honestly, how Attack of Genosha went on, it just makes that love triangle so much more different and crazy because, you know, you think you're in for like a one-up, who's going to impress Rogue and all that, and then, you know, what happens in Attack of Genosha. And I'm trying not to really say what happens in it, even though I already kind of did say it, but, you know, yeah. There is a lot of romances in the show, like, you know, again, Wolverine and Jean Grey, they have their little romance. Scott and the love triangle, Rogue and the love triangle. There even is a little thing that Bo DeMeo, who was the showrunner, who, if you didn't know, got fired, but we don't know why, so we can't really say, you know, our opinion on it, but he did say Morph has some certain feelings for Wolverine. I'm personally not a fan of that. And then we have Storm and Forge, who also were in a little bit of it. And that's also Jubilee and Roberto had a love thing. So there's a lot of love going on in this season. Again, now, Tolerance is Extinction is probably a perfect finale for me. Not only does it kind of reconcile the season in a 3-part ending, again, it finishes off the season. It sets up for season 2 very, very well. I mean, it literally, one story leads into the next story, which is really cool. It's not just like a definitive ending and then the next season a new threat will come along. This season ended with the beginning of next season. And that, if you didn't know, again, another spoiler alert, we saw the return of Apocalypse in the post-credit scene, and the rumor is that Apocalypse is going to search for the 4 horsemen for death for him, and Gambit being one of them. Everything was just so great. You know, Magneto, if you didn't like Magneto, if you didn't care for Magneto, after watching the show, I have a feeling you really do like Magneto, because I, for one, wasn't a huge fan of Magneto. I thought he was cool. This show made me love Magneto. I was going to say, I have it in my show notes here, that I wanted to say that it could have had more setup, but the more I realize it, everything really was a setup from the beginning. I mean, from the first couple episodes with Madeline Pryor, Mr. Sinister and Baby Nathan Cable, they set up for the future of the season. And, you know, it's kind of a subtle setup, but it really does the job. Like, for example, Bastion being the main villain of the show, we didn't actually see him until like episode 6 or 7. But if you really pay attention and you really follow it hard, you'll notice that he is in every episode or mentioned in every episode. So there might be a picture of him on a wall, it might be him walking by, him in a conference room, or him just being mentioned, or him as a kid. Like, it was so many little things that they really took their care into. And that's something that really shines in this show, because there is so much care in this show. I mean, giving fans what they want with certain cameos. For example, Morph turning into like the Hulk, or seeing Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Doctor Strange, I mean, Black Panther. It was the cameos, you know, not to say a cameo will make a show, but fans want to know what these characters are doing during this time. So people will appreciate seeing all of these different characters at this time. And I personally, you know, I'm more of a fan of the Avengers than the X-Men. And seeing the Avengers kind of be saved by the X-Men made me like the X-Men a little more. I do want to talk about the adamantium ripped from Wolverine. That was great. Right out of the comics. It sets up Wolverine on a journey that he kind of I don't want to say kind of took a back seat this season, but, you know, towards the end, he started picking up, like, you know, not some slack, but he started picking up a little bit. I mean, there were certain moments with him and Jean Grey, certain moments with him and Morph, but he picks up at the end of the season, you know, almost being the hero, ending it all for Magneto, until he gets the adamantium ripped from his skeleton. If you don't know what that is, I have a video on that if you want to check it out, to kind of explain what happened in that scene and what Wolverine might go through. But it really sets up Wolverine for the future as well. So, I mean, the episodes, those are kind of my review on the characters and everything. And somebody watched the show from the 90s, and then you see the last episode, and, you know, this picks up right from the last episode with Charles going away and then he returning this season. It's almost like, for those people, I can almost feel how good that must have felt for them, because seeing a beloved character like Professor X come back years later in another TV show, it must have been great. You know, the animation, it was like a 2D type of animated style. Loved it. The colors on it, awesome. The animation on it, awesome. The fight scenes were great. The character facial expressions were great. Them talking, everything was great about that. I have no complaints with this animation style, and I would love to see more shows with it, like another animated Spider-Man show, even an Avengers animated show. If they were introducing them in this, maybe they would set them up for something else. But that's pretty much my review of the show. If you are on the fence about watching it, because some people don't want to watch a cartoon, or some people are like, it's a continuation of a show that aired in the 90s, I don't want to see this 90s cartoon, just start it. You don't have to watch the other ones, because this honestly makes you fall in love with the X-Men. Each character you like a little more if you didn't like them already, and I can't wait for season 2, possibly season 3. Hell, keep going. I want to see more stories with these characters. Anyway, you let me know what you thought of X-Men 97. Let me know if there's anything I left out. You know, I could probably rewatch the show right now and see more things I never noticed in the first time, and I was breaking them down, trying to look for like little things like that. So leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have an incredible day.